there's a couple of decent quarterbacks in free agency, like Ryan Fitzpatrick, Alex Smith, Dalton, Trubisky, Jacoby Brissett. Let's start off with a former Bengal. Where do you think Dalton may end up?
Andy Dalton's got a tough, an interesting free agency ahead of him because you could make the argument he might be one of the best free agents on the board right now, despite kind of being the main backup last season for the Cowboys, even though he ended up starting for the majority of the season after Dak Prescott got hurt. I'm not sure the Cowboys are very interested in getting him back, especially now that they have Ben DiNucci as well, who wasn't anything special, but also I think could be a serviceable backup here in the future. But as for Dalton, I think that he can go to a team that's looking for a backup. I once considered the Patriots to be probably one of the favorites to land him this offseason up until they signed Cam Newton. So maybe the Patriots may look and say, like, hey, maybe just get some more competition for Cam Newton and Andy Dalton and let them go at it to see who makes it. I think that's certainly a possibility. I also look at teams possibly like I immediately think of a team like New Orleans Saints who need more competition right now. They are paying Taysom Hill a lot. They don't have a lot of money left in the cap. But at the same time, Jameis Winston is still a very unproven guy, and he's likely to be a starter. And if you think Taysom Hill should stay as being the Swiss Army knife for your team, you're going to have to look for another guy to kind of compete with Jameis Winston. So I think Andy Dalton could be a good fit there. And another team I have really been considering lately is the Chicago Bears. They don't really have much there. They have Nick Foles, I believe, a quarterback right now, and Mitchell Trubisky. I've seen a lot of people offer or think like maybe Mitchell Trubisky could be a re-signed for a couple of years for the Bears. But if not, I think Dalton could be another solid addition, a good bridge quarterback for the Bears to try to save them over until next season and whenever they actually start really, really targeting for a quarterback, maybe even a guy like Deshaun Watson if they can.
Yeah, to me, Andy Dalton and Mitchell Trubisky are two quarterbacks, like two of the top quarterbacks in my opinion, where I just have no idea. I have a couple of teams. Dalton, to me, an intriguing spot. Jacoby Brissett's a free agent, and obviously, Philip Rivers retired. I like the Colts, and I know it kind of sounds weird, especially because I just, traded for Carson Wentz. Carson Wentz has only played 16 games in just one season of his career. Dalton didn't play bad when Dak Prescott got hurt. I think, Dalton could be a pretty nice backup, and if Wentz goes down again, and like he has in years past, I think it could be another scenario. Dalton, fights to get a starting job back. I think it's possible. The Bears, to me, I think Ryan Fitzpatrick makes a little bit of sense there. I think, Fitzpatrick is one of the more underrated, underrated, one of the best backup quarterbacks, definitely. I think he'd be a fantastic bridge quarterback. I think, he helped do a lot this past season with Miami, even though, Miami won, Tua didn't play great. But I don't really think there's many other old quarterbacks you can learn more from than Ryan Fitzpatrick. Jacoby Brissett, I mentioned him. I think an interesting spot would be the Eagles. I'm not sold on Jalen Hurts a ton, and if he goes down, which it seems like mobile quarterbacks go down quite a bit in the NFL, I think Brissett, he's a pretty decent backup. I think he's one of the more underrated backups in the NFL. I think I think Hurts can learn from him some, but it's going to be really interesting to see where some of these quarterbacks goes. And, it was announced last week that Washington released Alex Smith, comeback player of the year. A lot of people were upset about that move. Personally, this is like a business. I thought that was a fantastic move. It had to be done. They now have over $50 million in cap space with that. Is there any teams you may think that, what teams do you think Alex Smith may go to in free agency?
Yeah, Alex Smith is a guy that I think should and likely will mull retirement possibly. He came back last year, comeback player of the year, played fantastic. He proved that he came back after that insane injury. And I was extremely happy for him. I thought that was a terrific, I think it was just terrific for him. It made me happy. I thought it was amazing. They made the playoffs. They played really, really well. Unfortunately, after Smith got hurt for the last game of the season, Taylor Heinicke came in and honestly, I think impressed even more than what Alex Smith did throughout the season. And I think Taylor Heinicke's really inserted himself as being a promising backup quarterback for the football team right now. So Alex Smith's kind of stuck in some sort of a limbo. I think Smith historically has always been kind of a, more of a check down guy, more of a short to medium pass range kind of guy. So he's more of a guy who's not going to really hurt your team. He's not going to improve your team much either. I know a team like the New York Jets have had guys like Joe Flacco in the past, and I think they still have Joe Flacco now, maybe, who are good veteran leaders in the back that can help groom the quarterbacks of the future. I think if the Jets move on from Flacco and they look towards adding someone else, I think Alex Smith would be a terrific option there. And I also look at teams like, I'm not leaving out the possibility of possibly the football team trying to re-sign him for a cheaper deal just to create more competition in the backfield. I think it's certainly possible. And I also look at teams like the 49ers, a team that, has experience with Alex Smith already. They already know what he's like, and they are quarterback needy at this point, with Jimmy Garoppolo having this question mark. He's had a lot of injuries in the past. Maybe bring in Alex Smith to be that backup quarterback for your team and see what he can do. So I think there's several teams that can inquire for Alex Smith, but overall, I think the best option for him, in my opinion, would just be to retire. I think he's proved so much to this point, and I don't think he's ever going to carry a team more than what he already has with the Washington football team. So I really don't see how it gets much better for Alex Smith already. I think he should just go ahead and leave on a high note as a comeback player of the year, and just enjoy retirement, enjoy his family, and hopefully he can stay healthy for the rest of his life.
Yeah, retiring would make quite a bit of sense for Alex Smith. And on a high note, what more do you have to prove? You nearly lost your life in a surgery, and you come back and win comeback player of the year. You lead your team to the playoffs. If he, does play this season, to me, of all the quarterbacks, I think this makes the most sense. I think the Jaguars. I absolutely love the Jaguars because. Trevor Lawrence, Alex Smith could be a mentor to Trevor Lawrence. Alex Smith is one of the most respected quarterbacks in the NFL. He's had so much adversity. He's gone through so much the past several years. I think that is part of the reason. Another reason, Urban Meyer actually coached Alex Smith in college. And to me, I just really think it makes a lot of sense because, I really doubt Gardner Minshew is on the team next season for Jacksonville. You would have Trevor Lawrence, and I believe that's your only quarterback on the roster. So I really think Alex Smith can make some sense there in Jacksonville.
Yeah, I think that would be another good fit. Jacksonville is kind of looking for that backup quarterback in the event, whenever you draft a guy like Trevor Lawrence at number 1 overall, which let's be real, they are going to draft Trevor Lawrence. I might want to get a good veteran in the back at least to, kind of groom him, make him, get used to the NFL level, because there are question marks on whether or not Trevor Lawrence's scheme in Clemson will, translate well into the NFL, because Clemson runs a very college, spread sort of scheme. And I know there's been a history of a lot of quarterbacks having some trouble moving on from one to the other. But there are still guys like Deshaun Watson out there who did it to a T, and it's fantastic. So I'm not saying that's going to be an issue for Trevor Lawrence, but it certainly is a possibility. So I think adding a guy like Alex Smith to help him groom into the NFL level would be a fantastic idea. I also look towards teams like the Broncos, who, the supposed MVP, Drew Lock, didn't perform too well that season, but certainly a possibility they look to create more competition down the line as well. So a guy like Alex Smith could maybe be added there. I think the Broncos have really built a good wide receiver core, especially with the yards after catch like Jerry Jeudy and KJ Hamler. So I think that'd be a really good fit for Alex Smith if he were to return. Plus, you have an offensive line that might be the best in their division now that the Raiders and the Chiefs have basically blown up their offensive line. So, a pretty good, I think, overall offense there. He could fit in pretty well as a backup.